Hey, welcome back to the podcast. Let me ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself just pulling your hair out saying, how do I get it all done? Yeah, I can run my business, but then my life kind of falls apart. And then all of a sudden, like you got your life really working and then your business kind of falls apart. Have you ever been there before? If you have, I want to see a comment immediately if it absolutely relates to you. I'm going to help you. I've got a guest with me today. What's up, Kirsten? How are you? One of the most coachable people I've ever met. And you need to be more coachable, but you know what I'm saying. 3 kids, a husband, an enormous business, a television show, a personal life. Half the time when I'm following you on Instagram, I'm like, they're in Switzerland again. How do you pull that off living in New York City? For the person that doesn't know who you are, give them a little backstory.
Oh, well, I've been in the business now for 15 years, and I don't actually have any other life experience. I was just with Rogers Healing. We were joking. We were both like, we're like Nepo, what is it, babies?
Right.
Real estate babies.
Yeah, 19 years old, going to real estate. Exactly. It's all I've ever done.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't know anything else. And so I started off as literally an apprentice to a top agent, and from there have been in Manhattan now multiple borough real estate for all that time. I worked for other people on teams for the first 11 years of my business.
Why?
Because I didn't believe in myself.
Yeah.
And like fundamentally. And then I was cast on the show $1 Million List in New York.
Yeah. And everything kind of changed.
And everything kind of changed. And to say exactly what it was that I got validation from a party that was larger than my consciousness could understand, which is Bravo. Yeah. An NBC Universal that was like, we think you're cool enough to take it to the next level. Yeah. And I needed them. Yes. Really badly to tell me that I was that person. Yes. And then I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be so easy because just if you get on TV, everything's okay, right? And then we filmed, COVID happened, filming took 18 months. So I was going to be a star for 18 months. It was like this, it's going to be great when the show hits, and then it's going to be great. And then you're going to be on TV and everything's going to fall into place. You'll see it's going to get easier. It's going to be great. In the meantime, I'm spending more money to try to have help. Didn't have a plan or organization. Didn't even have a vision for what I needed from the show. It was just like, I'll get on the show. I'll get more business. It was something where I had a business and I knew how to be an agent because all I had been doing was practicing being an agent but I didn't know how to do anything else. And I didn't have a background in management. I didn't have a background in anything else. I had a background in doing deals and knowing how to do every aspect of the deal because I had been in a supporting role for all this time. And so when I got cast on the show, it was like, oh, now all of a sudden you're like from one day to the next, you are now out of the office doing stuff that is for your future business for 10 to 15 hours a week. Yes. And what are you going to do with your clients? What are you going to do with your time? How are you going to be focused on your highest and best use when you're not there? And how are you going to literally man up in like 2 weeks to make it happen? And so that by the way, and manage 3 beautiful children. 3 children and 4 if we count your husband. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yes. And a husband who travels for work and travels for pleasure and has like a whole world in Europe that isn't here in the US. Yes. So it was just kind of like this. It was totally crazy. And I didn't actually I actually crashed and burned in the first 2 or 3 weeks of filming, and the producers came to me because I got super burnt out. I got super sick, and the producers came to me and were like, when I got better, because they had to cancel a week of filming for me, which is actually a huge pain in the ass because there's a lot that lines up. Even though $1 Million Listing is real, $1 Million Listing is real, but there's stuff you have to plan to film. Of course, period. That's just how it works. And so they were like, hey, if you don't start taking care of yourself and figure this out, it won't work. Yeah, just so you know. And here, being, to everybody, it was like, all you got to do is get cast on the show and your life's going to be okay. It was like, no, all you have to do is get cast on the show, keep your life together, film, be amazing, keep it together while nobody knows you're going to be on the show. Exactly. And then it's going to air. And then, but it still takes 2 to 3 seasons for your business really gets affected by the show. Yes. And then it got canceled. Yes. Yes. So here we are today. And the show started filming in the beginning of 2020. Yeah. And we're in the spring of summer of 2023. So a lot has happened since then. So how many were you on? 2 seasons? I was on 1 season. Just 1 season? 1 season. Now I do a lot of contributing on broadcasts and stuff like that, which I love doing. And actually that calls to me a lot. I see you on TV. Yeah, reality was a struggle. Reality TV was a struggle for me. I'm not going to lie. Not manufacturing, it's not fair, but creating stakes and stakes and stakes and stakes when I'm a very low drama, very low key human, with a lot of energy, was totally tough for me.
So anyone listening right now might be asking themselves, okay, now why are you having her on the show? Because she just made it sound like everything was completely insane. And yet I know you. I know that, with the help of supporting, teammates, with the help of your coach, your amazing husband, you actually have kept it all together. Yeah. And that is super impressive. I mean, I run at a fast pace, you run at a fast pace. A lot of us do. The person listening right now absolutely does as well. So let's just talk. I wrote down kind of two things I want to explore. First, how do you keep your personal life together? Backstory. My mom, when my parents got divorced, was like, I don't know, 30 something, right? I was 6. And I remember watching her from like 6 until the time that she got into a significant relationship, which must have been around 10 or 11 for me, 10 or 11. She managed 4 kids. She worked Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Somehow she still went dancing, right? Because that's just who she is. She went on dates. She had fun. We were always here together having dinner. She was always playing like Sound of Music or some crazy record. Like she made it all work and had an amazing life. Mom, I'm not razzing you. She wasn't running a business. Yeah. She was, she was plugging into somebody else's business and was super effective at her work. She made great money for, a single woman back in the day, like 1976. She was killing it, but she wasn't running a business, right? There's just more to it. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Yes. I don't care what anybody says, especially real estate. It's not Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. It is
it's not
24/7. What are the things you've learned to compartmentalize, to keep your time organized, to be with your children, to have a regular relationship, if that's even possible with your husband? Like, give us just
and he's
some
a developer, so we talk about real estate all day, every day.
Right, exactly. And you send him out on appointments. I know the inside baseball. So give us some of the things that you put in place for the person that's listening who just says, God, I'm just run ragged.
Oh, yeah.
What do they do?
So ragged. So I was just talking about this, and I have 3 rules that I apply to running my business and my home. Yes. And the rule, the first rule is that you're going to have to own that you're going to have to make the systems, and that there's going to need to be that it's going to be consistently changing, because the home and the business are very similar in the sense that certain things only work in certain stages. And then in new stages, you need a new infrastructure, right? And when you're running a household of 3, I have 3 small children right now. They're in 3 different schools in Manhattan, which is literally means that the actual just the coordination of getting them to and from places is a big deal. And your strollers, your car. I was saying to this to people yesterday, your strollers literally your car.
Yes.
And now they're not in strollers, but okay. So this idea of everything's going to always be changing. Every time you set up systems, those systems are going to fail in the beginning, and no one's going to think that you're serious about your systems in the beginning. So like even just training any sort of help that you have, or even the people at daycare that, hey, like 9 to 5, if you expect me to come at the last minute to pick up my kid because they have pink eye, like that's not happening. Yeah. Like you're going to whatever that is, because I think that there's different expectations, clearly. Right. So it's setting up the systems, knowing that those are going to fail and that it's going to be frustrating, giving yourself grace in the fact that there's going to be changes that are always going to happen during those days, but owning that if you don't set up the systems and you don't really take it seriously, that like this infrastructure has to exist, you will never leave the house.
Okay. Being a child of a single mom, going back to that, like literally, and I was the second child. My mom was like, all right, here's the deal. Your older brother, Matt, sorry, Matt, if you're listening, he's all over the place. I need you to put the crock pot on at 3:00 when you get home from school. Turn that thing on. And it was like written out, and that was my job. Click, click, click. And then set the table by the time I get home. Yeah. I'm 6, 7.
Yeah.
Okay. Like there was no, my little sister and brother were like in daycare until like 5:30. She picked them up. Yeah. Boom, here's your beanie weenies. Like a system will produce what a system will produce. Nothing more, nothing less.
And you'll fall back, and you will fall back to whatever those systems are every single day. And so so that's number 1.
Okay, but you said something that I thought was really profound. So own and make the systems and understand that certain things will work and that eventually they won't. Like the kids change. There's 3 different schools. They're out of the stroller. Like how often do you have to look at the systems, or do you just wait for them to break and then you're like, okay, wait, shit, that doesn't work anymore?
Well, I think that in the early years, like you're kind of like, it's like a shifting all the time because it's like every 3 months something's changing. There's that. And then as they get older, from what I can see, and my kids are 5, 7, and 9 right now. And I would say now it's like you do kind of wait till stuff breaks because like you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself because no matter what, something's going to happen. Like my nanny quit on December 15th and was like, I'm moving out in 2 days. And it was like, yeah, I wasn't super happy with you. It wasn't working amazingly, but like it was going to break. And so I was going to let you break it before I broke it because I just didn't have the bandwidth to make that. So then it was like, okay, I'm super upset. Can I keep you? But no, the truth is this is a sign of we need this next change, right? Yes. And so then, okay, what is it that I actually wanted to level up and ask the universe for? And who is this next person in this role? And that's getting to the next point that I—
Don't go there yet because I want to unpack still. Because number one, so what do you say to the person? And talk to him or her listening right now that just says, I'm just not that organized. So like, and I have to, if oh my goodness, like something happens, I have to drop everything and run all the time. And God bless you. There's just a lot of people that just allow the universe, life, something, they stub their toe and they just refuse to be disciplined and organized and follow some method of structure. And then what happens is they're constantly in a state of complaint because they're never making the kind of money that they want. Oh, yeah. And then they have there's no growth in complaint, right? No. Criticism or comparing, right? No growth, but they're constantly comparing other agents, other people's circumstances. Oh, well, see, I'm single. She's got a husband. You know what I mean? Like they're doing that all the time.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for that individual right now that just needs a little straight talk?
Well, what is the one thing that you did in the last 5 years that you can remember that was like a goal that you had that somehow you got your shit together and you got there? And then what was that? Because right now, then it means either like what you're saying that you want to do, you don't actually want to do. Because if you don't want it bad enough, you're not going to do it. And the same, I mean, that's what it was for me. I didn't, my systems were not airtight by any stretch in the first, until probably 2020, 2021 is when I started saying like, this is like—
I don't have a choice.
There's no choice. And I want this $1 million listing thing so badly because I see it as something that's going to change my life and it's going to make things exciting and it's going to validate me sticking it out in this awful industry for the last 10 years or 12 years that I need this. And so I'm going to figure out how to get it together. Because I used to be like, oh God, I can't, there was years where I was like, I can't wake up at 5 to exercise. That's ridiculous. I'm ruined for the rest of the day. Yeah. I can't do that. I can't, like all the things I couldn't do, I do now.
Yes.
Because I want it so bad.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what I want so badly. This is going to save me. And so if you, then you got to find something else you want badly enough because apparently you don't want it badly enough. If you're not, because you will find a way.
Yeah.
People will find a way. Even my most disorganized friends, when they really want something or there's something, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what people can do.
Yes. So once you want it bad enough, then do I need like an SOP or I'm talking like your
SOP?
Your
so
coach is like queen of, right? So shout out to you,
she's the queen of SOPs.
Yes.
I think you got to find somebody who you can align yourself with is more organized than you if you're not the one that's going to be organized.
That's been my strategy.
And if it's like 100%. Even maybe that's a spouse, maybe that's a friend that's an accountability partner, maybe you actually hire somebody, whatever it is, there are ways to find complementary people in your life that can enable you to— I mean, I feel like I'm the complementary person to so many friends where they're like, they call me up. I literally was even talking to a friend of mine who like we're close friends, but we've not known each other for very long. And she's like, yeah, I love calling you because you just tell it to me straight and I get off the phone and I'm like ready to go. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, this is who you are. This is what you need to do. And you're done. Go.
Okay.
She's like,
next.
okay, great. I barely know you, but you're right. Okay, go. I'll go.
I'm going to make you a coach. You watch out.
Watch out.
Okay. So rule 1 is own it and then make a system for it and then just give yourself grace when it breaks.
Yeah. You got to own it. You got to make this. You got to know that it's going to break and you got to know that it's going to change and you have to be thankful when it's working.
Right.
Just be thankful when it's working. Every day that you come home and like the kind of plan that you did and it actually works, you should be thrilled.
Right.
And when people are doing things right, you need to reward them. So, okay. Rule number 2.
All? So there's a little added more to number 1, which is like, thank you.
Thank you.
Like, and thank you for listening. All right. What's rule number 2?
Rule number 2 is that you have to own that you can't do it alone.
Oh,
and no matter how organized you are and no matter how much you need to put systems in place and you can do it yourself, if you try to do it alone, you will fail.
Yeah.
And
why is that? There's so many, and everybody has a very valid reason why.
Yeah.
I don't trust people is usually the case. Nobody can do it as good as me. I tried it once. I went to pet a dog. It bit me. All dogs bite. I can never do it again. I tried to hire an assistant. She was a crackhead. Like there's all these stories, right? But you and I both know further, farther, faster with a team, you can only go so far as an individual. So do you think some of that is just deep down inside people just don't want enough? They don't want it bad enough?
I think it's also really hard.
So they shrink to the size of their own constraints of time?
I think it's also just really hard to let people in. Like it's just so hard to I'm dealing with this all day, every day, which is like, how do you let people far enough in so that they can actually help?
Yeah.
And actually like say what you need and say what you want. And like, then when it doesn't go right, give people gentle feedback that you need things done slightly differently, or say, I don't actually know how I want it done, but I saw this person and it looks like this.
Yeah.
Like,
but I know it isn't what you're currently doing.
Yeah,
Yes.
that is not what you're doing. And then when that person's not the right person, you do have to cut bait fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I've made so many hiring mistakes, and I've learned so much from those hiring mistakes. And the biggest thing is, if things aren't right, you got to get rid of them as fast as you can, because no matter what you think, having the wrong person in the wrong seat is the end of your business and your personal life, period. There's so much, especially home life more than even anything. I know people who stick it out with bad people in their home for way too long.
Right.
And it's like, it's bad energy. It's bad.
Yes.
You're like, that's where you're, and the same thing is on your team. One bad apple.
And when it's the opposite, how good is it?
Oh, when it's the opposite, it's like you feel free, and you also just feel supported. And then there's reinforcement to the things that you actually want to do. There's accountability just in having normal, good people around.
So what's your rule around hiring people? What have you learned? What are some of the mistakes?
Oh my God. We've learned so much about hiring.
Yeah.
It's been, I feel like first of all, I love the personality testing. I love the disc profiling. All that stuff is great. Somebody just introduced me to Working Genius, which is also got another personality profiling, which I actually think I would almost consider, now that we're creating an organization and we're not just creating roles, I would consider using that as well, because it talks about how people work together and how you need a certain balance in that way, which I like. So I love the personality profiling. And then there's also just this like making sure that there's a certain trial basis in place, and also never underestimating how much it's going to take to train somebody who doesn't have experience at all in a particular role. And so like, where can you have them have useful experience, maybe from another industry or from some other job, but making sure that you have a plan for the fact that there's going to be a gap somewhere always.
For sure.
And I'm terrible at training people. I've never been trained. I've always been on the job training my whole life. So I don't know how to train people. That's something that literally my operations team has like had to create trainings, because I don't know how to train people. I'm just like, do it. Just figure it out. I don't know.
Call people, show houses, don't say anything too stupid. Someone will buy.
Yeah.
I was on the phone this morning with the CEO who, his company is now 9 months old. I bought a third of this business, and I'm super, super excited about him. The COO, she's a genius. He says to me this morning, he's like, I figured it out. He said, it's 10% hiring, 90% onboarding and training. 10% hiring, 90%. I was like, Chris, yes. He's like, he ran a $1.5 billion sales team, figured out this whole recruiting methodology. And what he figured out was like, basically he'd interview somebody and he's like, she has a good personality. She's not crazy. We did a drug test, right? She's not a complete wackadoo. I can now take that. Now, if I spend 90% of the time teaching them what to say, how to say it, what to do, how to use the systems, how to write offers, how to call the listing agent and get your offer presented. If I spend 90% of my time there, he said, that's how we did $1.5 billion in 18 months with a bunch of brand new agents. So what do you think is the biggest mistake? Like, for the person listening right now that's like, oh my goodness, I've hired people in the past and I've done that seagull management, fly in, poop, leave, right? Like not enough training, not enough, exposure, experience. Right. What do you recommend?
Well, what I have done, and this is the only thing that I've seen work, because I've never actually been part of an organization before. Remember, I've only been in real estate, being in real estate, right?
Yes.
And I was on 2 different teams, and I thought that the way that they ran things were not the way that I would want to run things.
Sure.
And so my head of operations came from 10 years in consulting.
Perfect.
Working in change management.
Yep. Perfect.
Somebody who loves systems, who also loves processes, but also is really like change management. This is very interesting, but it involves like a lot of communicating with people.
For sure.
And telling them about things before they happen, and like preparing people and like really like galvanizing a group, but also just there's just so many layers to it that I didn't really realize because I go with it with change. Like I just like roll with it. I like laugh. I'm like, it's funny. Like LOL, LOL. Oh my God, that's crazy.
We changed again.
Exactly.
But they say it takes between 7 and 11 times you have to tell somebody something before they finally get it.
Yeah.
Like 7 to 11 times, like over and over and over. And all of a sudden then they're like, oh, so you're saying that there's a new contract? Yes, as a matter of fact, I am. 7 to 11 times is the average. And I kind of always lean towards 11.
Yeah, for sure.
So
I would say
over communication.
Over communication. But when it comes to talking about training people, I'm never going to be the one that's going to own being really great at training.
Yeah.
It's just never going to be me.
Yep.
I'm great at leading a sales meeting is super fun for me, talking about things, ways like for me, my greatest impact to the agents is, even though I love the deal doctoring, which I'm getting out of, it's the, hey, I wish somebody had forced me to learn this during a sales meeting 10 years ago.
Yes.
And I want to talk to you guys. Like the other day I came in and I was like, hey, I just want to talk to everybody about like what they see top agents doing, just like habits. Like, let's just talk about it. I just want to do it. And I just want to do a board of like things that top agents do.
Yes.
And they're like, and we left the meeting and it was like, these are things that I wish somebody had said. And then it was, okay, they're all going to these top clubs with people and doing this. And I saw this guy out doing this, or I saw this person, or they're doing this. And I was like, so now that you've realized this, where does this all come back to? What is the main theme here? And I wish somebody had said that to me.
Yes.
Like, hey, your day job is to set appointments and blah, blah, blah. But if you want to, like setting appointments and funneling, 9 to 5. If you want to really get to the next level, it involves what you do outside of the 9 to 5 and who you're spending your time with.
1,000%.
And I can give you the best scripts and I can make you make your calls. But if you want to take it to the next level, it's going to be reading the mags, knowing what's going on with the data, and then also hanging out with the right people.
Right. Okay, so own that you can't do it alone. Final thoughts on this one before, like just tell the listener that it's like they just checked out for the last couple minutes and they're waiting
like,
for rule number 3 because they're like a control freak.
I can't hire somebody because that would be way too hard. And I fired so many people and I tried that once and it didn't work. And this, if there has to be like a come to Jesus that, and I think that if you think about it as an example, I think the way I always, and I use this technique with myself all the time is, hey, now that I don't clean my own toilets anymore, if somebody said to me, hey, here's like the cleaning lady's away. Here's the thing, clean your own toilets. I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
Like I have so much other shit to do and I'm going to literally clean shit? No. Like I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
However, all of us don't think of they don't think of stuff that is stuff that they shouldn't be doing, like cleaning toilets. They think of it like, well, it's kind of got to get done and I'm the only one that can kind of do it and I can never train somebody.
All I got to do is just run this across town, fill out the form.
I just got to do that. And they're not
2
equating
hours.
it. They're not equating it to something that's really not their job.
Right.
Because once you stop cleaning toilets, you never clean toilets again.
Yes.
And so, period. So then the question becomes is what is going to be your cleaning toilets that you can look at and be like, no way I'm doing that.
Yes.
But the problem is nobody makes that differentiation.
Yes.
They let everything be in this gray zone where there's not a level 1, 2, 3. It's just, and so so if you can start doing that with stuff that after you finish tasks after you finish doing, you're a worse person than when you started.
Yep.
Those need to go.
Yeah.
Yes. And if it's taking out a loan, I don't care what it is. Like I would like to, and for some people, I want to be sensitive and know that certain people are not in a place where they can hire somebody, but there's a way. There's a way to leverage. There's always a way to leverage.
You could literally, so I'll piggyback on that. I would tell people, hey, around May or June, which is coming right around the corner, go to Facebook or Instagram or whatever your most popular platform and say, hey, if you have a college graduate or somebody in college or even in high school and they want to learn how to make $100,000 or $200,000 a year selling real estate, I'm looking for 3 summer interns that can help me do email marketing, direct mail, make some phone calls, and learn the business of real estate. Just put their name below or send me a DM. And all of a sudden people are like, dude, I got like 15 people. Like, what do I do with them all? And I'm like, then here's the second task I tell people. Make a list. Here's what I love to do that makes me money. Here's what I love to do that makes me money in my business. Here's what I hate to do that I know somebody else could do for less than it takes the time for me to do it. And you make up the list and you're like, okay, I'm going to have all the free interns do all of this stuff.
Right.
You with me? And what's so great today is you could literally say, well, but how do I process and how are they? Chat GPT, right? Google, YouTube, hey coach, I need an SOP for this. I need a script for that. I need a checklist for this. Or better, you say, hey, welcome. You're an intern. You're in college. You're now on my team for the summer. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to scour the internet and find every checklist for this. And I want you to build an SOP for me like this. Yeah. And you know what a college kid says? Oh, I can do that in 2 seconds.
Yeah, because college kids are doing homework. They're taskers. They're like, hey, I'll get it done. I'll get it done. I mean, it's better than hiring somebody 5 years out of college.
Yes. Yeah. So what you're really saying is be resourceful.
You have to be resourceful.
Don't blame resources.
Listen, I legit was the borderline assistant for everybody for 12 years in the business. And can you believe that I did that? Yeah, I did it because I didn't know that I didn't believe in myself that there was another way, that I didn't believe that there was any way that I was hitting. I always thought you had to hit a certain number and that's when you hired the person. Yeah. When the truth is a little part-time person 5 years earlier and I would have been completely there. Yeah. Or at least started learning how to train someone or how to teach someone what to do and how to outsource it. I wasn't there.
100%. And with salespeople, it's you bring in 5 salespeople, you're going to make 2 additional sales every single month. You just don't know which of the 5 are going to do the deal, right? That's just the way it works in the beginning. And eventually it could be 1 month where they do 5 or 6 or 7 transactions. But I remind everybody, if you have 5 more people that are even 50% as good as you, that's still a 250% improvement of output of people that are holding open houses, people that are knocking on doors, people that are making phone calls, people that are doing showings. So you can just do exponentially more through people. You know it. I know it. Awesome. What's rule number 3?
Rule number 3 is my favorite, is that there will be judgment. Oh. So good, right?
There will be
judgment.
Okay, starting with the fact that right now someone is saying, is Tom Ferry short or is she really tall?
I know, they gave me an extra block, everybody. It's pretty good. It's pretty nice.
Hello, welcome to my show.
In addition to being a $1 million listing, I'm actually a supermodel.
Yes, exactly.
With a very, very, very short waist.
With 11-inch heels. Okay, good. Or an apple box. All right, rule number 3, no judgment.
No, there will be judgment. Other people will judge you.
Yes.
For outsourcing. Yes. Other agents, your family members, your friends will judge you for outsourcing. And I tie this into a lot of this stuff specifically for women. Yes. Because men don't get judged as much for outsourcing because it's just the way that it works with gender. Yes. And women get judged for anything they outsource. Right. The second you're not the one doing every single thing in the marriage, in the family, and whatever, you are outsourcing your responsibilities. And the truth is that, hey, for someone like me, outsourcing a lot of my responsibilities is the best way for me to generate a tremendous amount of income. Right. And influence and joy and things that are not tangible that make the world a better place. Yes. And some of the people who work for me doing all kinds of stuff, I freaking love all of them. Right. And it's awesome. Right. And they're happy doing the jobs that they do that are the things that are my levels 1, 2s, and 3s that I shouldn't be doing.
So I love it in my second book I wrote about the addiction to the opinions of other people and why most people play small. Right, is they're just so afraid of being judged. They're so afraid of being criticized, public or private. And my response is, screw them all. I don't give a shit. Where did that come from for you?
That everybody was judging me? Which part?
No, the clearly you don't give a shit. Or you do, but you just accept it is what it is. You're going to live your life anyway. Yeah.
Well, the $1 million listing thing took a lot of giving the shit away because I was if you're going to be on reality television, you have to you really have to stop caring what other people think because there's a tremendous amount of judgment around reality TV. I feel like I was a super upstanding human being when in the scheme of reality television. Yep. But lightly exposing your family to being on television in that kind of setting clearly is very questionable ethically for a lot of people. There's all kinds of things that sparked a ton of judgment. Yes. Friends that I don't even hear from anymore, and then when it comes to what it took to then do that and then leverage that and create a team and have a real business and has involved further infrastructure in the home and at the office that, I mean, even I randomly run into my old boss and I the eye roll, it's so how many people do you have now? What do you, what's your, what are they making any money? Yeah. Yeah, they're all making money.
How do your clients feel about that?
How do your clients feel about other people showing? Yeah. I'm
is Stefano okay with all this? Right? Just all the nonsense, right?
Yeah. How does your husband do with the fact that you have a real business and this whole personal brand and all of that? Yeah, it's people and family will judge you. Family will make comments. Yeah. Family will make comments. There are people who will never get over it, and they'll still be your friend and be around you and talk shit about you in front of you. Yeah. And you're going to have to be able to be
successful.
Like, welcome
I love
to being successful. And if that's what it takes, you just have to be ready to say. And I think for me personally, I've just decided to say, listen, this is what I always wanted to do. Yeah. I found my calling. I found it in my late 30s. Yeah. Leave me the fuck alone. Yeah. Like seriously.
Yes.
I found what I was meant to do. I didn't even know that it was hiding deep down inside of me that I actually wanted to do TV and all of it. And now it's like something that brings me a tremendous amount of joy and energy. Yes. And without it, I'm actually not the same person.
Right. I think about, I wish you could meet my former coach, now just longtime dear friend, a gal named Teresa Jabor, who I think you heard me tell the story. I was like landing in New York City, about to get my second book published. And I was in a panic attack thinking about all the people that said to me, you should just stay in real estate. Don't write a book for the general public. Mm-hmm. Kind of stay in your little box. Ferry, your dad, right? And I was like, screw that, right? I write this book and literally in a panic attack thinking, oh my God, it's about to actually happen. Like they're going to sign me. Like I'm going to actually have to publish this and then go on tour. And I remember thinking to myself, like in a panic, I call her and I'm like, Teresa, what do I do? And she's like, Tom, are you willing to be a 10 out of 10 in every area of your life with no apologies and not giving a shit about what everybody else thinks? And I was like, yeah. And that was it. Like it was just something about the moment, the stress. It was probably the first time in my life where I actually felt like anxiety. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, holy shit, it's about to happen.
You're really, because like you're so coached yourself into pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. Right. That you're like the limits. You're still, but when you really do it.
When you really put your ass on the line, right? Which doing television, building a big business, destroying the for some people, their stereotypical perception of how a woman is supposed to operate, right? Breaking through all that nonsense. First of all, I'm just super proud of you.
Thank you.
What advice do you have for the person right now that's listening who says, well, you don't understand, like my spouse wants it this way. Or, my parents always did it like this. Because, like, we all got it from our parents.
Oh, yeah, we all got it from our parents.
Do you know what I mean? Oh, you're just a little too money motivated. I was like, no, I just didn't want to live in a little fucking house like you. Like, I wanted to have a nicer opportunity for my parents.
Motivated. Yeah. So financially motivated. Yes. And, like, people are like, well, you can't pay your kids for stuff that they're supposed to do. And I'm like, I don't know.
What?
I don't know, but it's working.
No, for the record, call your CPA or tax person. You can put your child $6,000 a year and they don't pay any taxes and you don't give them the money. No, exactly. You just put it away for them.
My daughter wants a full-on allowance for doing stuff she's supposed to be doing.
Yes.
And we're working on that.
Yes.
But so advice for people who are surrounded by so many people
that are look, people are always doing the best they can with what they got. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? So we I'm always very mindful of when someone is judging me, or like I did a post with Ariana Huffington, and like the comments were just like it was almost comical how much they were attacking me, right? And all I was talking about, like, get over your addiction to the opinions of other people, right? They're like, who does this guy think he is? And like, I went on there and I started like reaching out to people and asking more questions, which just fired the flame of their insanity. But in my heart of hearts, I was like, hey, they're just doing the best they can with what they got.
Oh, 100%. I mean, we're all still doing the best we can with it,
right?
For sure. I think you need to find somebody who is there. Everybody's got somebody that's in their sphere in some form that is living the life or doing the thing that they want to do. Yep. Like I realized at one point, especially when I had really been in like this, like changing, I had to change my life so quickly, right? When it came to even just like the whole childcare piece, it was wild.
Right.
And I remember being like, who do I know that's a woman that's actually got a big job, that has kids, and like, how does she do it? Yeah. And I was like, who do I know? And then I was like, oh my God, I only like know 2 women that are really in my sphere that are like this. That's a problem.
Yeah.
And so I reached out to those 2 women and I was like, what do you do? This one had twins and she's literally like a partner at like a private equity. And she was like, well, her husband doesn't work now. And she's like, so he's home with the kids but I still have a full-time nanny for them. So it's my husband doing a lot of the duties that you would expect me to do, full-time nanny and housekeeping. And the women that I know that are like me in my position that have a husband who also works, they have 2 nannies.
Yep.
2 full-time nannies. And you know what? Like that's New York City. I know for some people that's just disgusting and they like are like throwing up in the bathroom right now about that. But like that is what it takes. And these are women who are making millions of dollars a year.
Yes.
And they're still going to judge them for outsourcing things because as a woman, they should be doing that. And that I find insane. If a man's making $500,000 a year and he doesn't have a secretary, it's gross.
Yes.
Whereas women can be real estate agents and make $1 million a year and people want to, or $2 million, $3 million a year. And everybody's going to judge them because they don't want to clean their own toilets.
Yeah.
Like,
it's insane.
And I'm like the last person to be creating some sort of being on a soapbox or an Apple box about all this stuff. But I will tell you that it's real. That it's real.
I know.
And you have to. And what I do is I actually just pretend it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I just. Because people always say, what's it like? You go to these meetings with all these men and like, how does it go? And do they mansplain stuff to you? And I'm like, I get mansplained all day, every day, and I freaking just laugh it off.
Exactly. Oh, honey, let me show you how to write. You're like,
exactly.
I got this.
It's great. Oh yeah, show it. I can't wait. You're gonna show me? Great.
Yes.
Show it to me. I want to see it.
It's so amazing. I wish there was like 50 women that I've worked with over the last decade, like the Maxine Gellens of the world, she just turned 85.
Yeah, she got married, right?
She just got married after 38 years of dating. You heard it here first.
I haven't met her, but I keep hearing this story.
Her and Fred, who dated for 38 years, she just figured out Fred retired, and she was like, well, why would I retire? Like, I'm Maxine Gellens, me and Marty, we're making millions of dollars a year selling houses. And she's like, I just don't care. She's like, I just don't care what anybody thinks. And maybe it's now she's 85, so she really doesn't care. But when I met her when she was 67, she didn't care then either. She was like, look, I am on this planet for a short amount of time. I'm going to do the stuff that makes me happy, and I will attract other people that get it. And it doesn't mean she didn't deal with douchebags and knuckleheads along the way. Everybody does. It's just part of the human experience. But there just takes something in you that you have. What's the easy next step for the person that's just really caught up in judgment?
Well, I think you have to create an alliance with somebody who you profoundly respect in a lot of different ways that is outside of your comfort zone as to what they're doing and how they're doing it. And clearly, like getting a coach or somebody who's going to be able to help you push yourself. Like I work with a life coach in addition to the Tom Ferry coaching, and with Yvonne Arnold, who's amazing. And I don't even meet with her weekly. I mean, sometimes it's once a month. Sometimes it's an actual emergency phone call.
Sure.
Like this thing's happening and I actually can't process it. And I'm really good at moving beyond. Like I'm a goldfish. Yeah. I can move along really quickly.
3-4 seconds.
Yeah. Boom, boom. Totally fine. Whatever.
Next.
But sometimes I have moments where I'm like, why can't I move on from this? This was out of the blue, really hard for me. I can't handle this. Like even $1 Million Listing not coming back. I was like, I need a session on this. Yeah. Like I had a plan. It was around $1 Million Listing continuing to be on the air.
Yes.
Like I did this whole thing because there was going to be a whole. That was what I did, and now you
mapped it all out 3-4 years.
Yeah,
and then gone.
So I think that if you can
own and make the system, but understand that things will change,
things will change. And it's going to be for a reason.
Yeah. Yes.
And for me, it was for a reason because actually being a mother the way I want to be a mother was actually not going to be sustainable with $1 Million Listing at the time. Maybe in 6 months it would be now, but the way that I had set up my life, still I was able to jump back into my business as we stopped filming, and now broadcast is very efficient. You're in there and you're out of there. You prep. It's stuff you're already talking to your clients about, and for me that stuff's really fun.
I
agree.
We'll
see. There will be more, and there will be other. Yep. But that was that's what I think that's what you need to do. And if you can find a coach that is going to help you with that emotional piece and make you understand it and make you understand, because for a lot of us, it's deeper. Yes. It's deep-rooted trauma and other things that are really deep.
1,000%.
Really deep.
That is like 90% of the beginning of every coaching relationship I've ever had. I'm always asking okay, so just tell me about you. Tell me about the earliest memories. Tell me when you first realized it wasn't working. What's the thing you've said to yourself 1,000 times that you've never told anybody out loud? And they're like, I'm not smart enough. I'm not as good looking as my older sister. You just hear this stuff and you're like, okay, but now I understand what I'm dealing with.
Oh, I mean,
now I can help.
Yeah. Yeah, I did Unleash the Power Within in 2019.
Yes.
With Tony Robbins.
Yes.
With my husband.
Yes.
We're into that stuff, really into that stuff. And we did that, and it was literally, I did it the weekend before I did my screen test for $1 Million Listing.
Yeah. So did you walk in?
It was so serendipitous. I walked in and I was like, "There's only one person for this job,
just up
and I think it's me." Exactly.
Yes.
I was like, "I'm not only am I the funniest and the smartest, but God damn it, people like me."
Yes.
What my point of that is that the story. Every time I go to anything like this, there's what story am I going to change? And the story I had was, I can't do this because I have kids. I can't do that because I have kids. I can't do that because I have kids. And I left there saying, I am no longer going to make my excuse be that I have children.
Bingo.
And it's going to be what I use to leverage to because I'm doing so much anyway. And then I'm not going to let that be what holds me back.
Yes.
And I moved on from that.
Yes.
And now, now I've got something, everybody's got something new,
right.
like what their next,
right.
like what am I going to get over next?
Right. I mean, I'm literally going through like Janelle Garrison, Marty Gallons, who has 2 sons that play professional baseball. But for them to play professional baseball while she was building her real estate practice, that was a lot of time on the field, going to games, not just regular high school stuff. It was like club and then it was college. And like, I coached them through that entire journey and watching how much time they were able to get away because they said, we can sell real estate anywhere we are in the world. Yeah, it's just a phone call. And then if you have a team, hey, when it used to be, hey, fax that offer to then email that offer to let's go present that offer, everything is possible. But I want to go back to something you said earlier when I said, what's the first move? You said, look into your circle and find someone that's already doing it, like proof.
Yeah.
I am obsessed with carefully curating remarkable people who, some of them I'm really close with. Some of them, they're not, but they'll return my phone call. They'll give me a coffee meeting. I can, snuggle up and ask a few questions. I'm obsessed with that because there's this talk of like, it's the 5 closest people. I actually think that's kind of bullshit. I think it's really the 2 closest people, maybe even like 1 that is just, you 2 can really go at it. But you need to have like this bigger, broader network of people that this one over here has been married for 60 years to the same person. They have a loving relationship. And every time I see them, I'm like, you 2 need to get a room. And they're like 80, right? I'm like, how do they do that, right? But I want to ask them about relationship stuff.
Yes.
This one over here is so spiritual, so connected, like I want to understand, like, how does she do that?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And then money and life and travel and experiences and communicate. Like, I think you just got to curate all of that or you just get a little too narrow.
Yes. It's but you have to start with one person and then you have to start. And then I think that should crowd out what's going on that's bad. Yes. Like the same way they say, don't go on a diet, crowd out the bad stuff by eating better, more good stuff.
Right.
Same thing with like the people. And I've transformed for better, for worse, definitely for the better in my opinion. The world of who I call all the time, who I reach out to all the time, who I speak to, who's on and who I admire. Like even think about it, Steve Cohen and I are in the same office, 2 different floors. We actually share a trainer right now. Yes. We literally
trainer.
Like he goes 3 days a week and he let me have have him on 2 days a week. And it's like, hey, you know what? Okay. We're kind of slightly different markets in our own ways because we have different spheres, but at the same time, clearly, he's at a higher level, but different ways.
Yes.
But this idea of saying, okay, you're in my sphere of broker network where I feel like I can call you and say, what do you think about this? What do you, this is what's happening. Yes. What do you think? Or this deal or this, that, or just like, hey, what do you do? Because you've been doing this longer than me. And I love watching, what are you doing? Or your marketing people, whatever it is, just somebody that you can say, wow, they've done it. Yes. They have a family. Yep. I respect them, how they do business, how they deal with people. Yep. And then keep building that. Keep building it.
I love it.
So important.
Steve Cohen, 150 listing appointments, or you owe me 10 grand. Just a little reminder. That's one of the things he's doing right now.
Oh God, mine's 100. Mine's 100 for the year.
Okay, but that's bananas, right? Like
it's a lot. I mean, 100, 150, 100 is where I'm.
Okay, do you want to hear a crazy number?
Yeah.
Timmy Smith, his goal is 500 this year. He's like, what else do I have to do? The market's slow. I might as well just go on like 5 to 6 listing appointments every single day. Everybody wants to talk to me. I want to talk to everybody. You have a $200,000 house. You have a $25 million house. I don't care. I am at my best on listing appointments. And then he's outsourced everything else. Everything else. And when he's not doing that, he's with his kids.
Yeah.
Right? Hanging at the beach house. Yeah. Right? So it's just a number.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Keep
100
making appointments.
Yes,
for me, 100 would be
bananas.
Would be amazing.
Yes. All right.
It will be amazing.
So really quickly, the 3 rules. Number 1.
Number 1 is, what did we say? Systems. You got to put systems in place. Yep. So number 1 is systems. Number 2 is that you have to own that you can't do it yourself. And number 3 is that you have to be ready for people to judge you when you're actually doing it.
Yes. Well, I think people are going to judge you on this show, but they're going to judge you as an absolute baller. Like a total badass.
Yeah, and there'll be people who will be like, I cringed when she said that thing because of the fact that this is crazy. And it is super hard. And listen, the first time you hear it, I used to judge so many people. I used to judge them. I even used to judge the people on $1 Million Listing.
Right. Right.
Because I was like, oh yeah, those guys just stepped in it. Super easy for them.
Yeah.
Must be so easy. They just get off that, they just film and it all just comes to them. No big deal.
Yeah. Ryan's just good looking. That's why it's easy. I'm like, Ryan works his face off.
Ryan,
right?
Whoa. I mean, it's amazing.
The Altman brothers who were pals, like, now Josh is like living in Newport, like across the way from where he's living. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing here? He's like, don't tell anybody I live in Orange County. Oh, you heard it here first. Right. But the point was, he's like, I want to expand. I want to do more. Like, just walking the island. He and his wife, my wife, just run each other. I'm like, I know how hard you work to get there. I know how hard I work to get here. All of us sitting inside this room, right? Yeah. No judgment. Looking back, it's the dash of our life, right? Oh, yeah. And I want that dash full of a million memories. You know what I mean? Some good, some bad, because that's just life. Closing thoughts before we let everybody go.
Oh my God, closing thoughts. Well, I'm trying to get this book published. I really want my book deal to happen. Yes. So we're rewriting a little bit of it right now. And I think that putting it out there to so many women that I was waiting for this validation. And if there's something that you say that you would do if, like, please just do it. Please just do it. Because like I didn't waste years because I learned so much from everything I've done. But like, if you could just, I'll tell you, trust me, like if you just turned around, there is somebody who will validate you. And I promise you that you don't even need that. Just please go for it. Because I wish I did. And now here I am, and it's been awesome.
Right.
I gotta say.
Right. Okay, so they want to follow you on Instagram.
Follow me on
LinkedIn.
Instagram. Kirsten.Jordan. Kirsten.Jordan on Instagram, LinkedIn, I'm there too. And then of course, KirstenJordan.com. And you can follow the Kirsten Jordan team at the Kirsten Jordan team on Instagram.
All right.
as well.
All right. All that's going to be all over
everywhere.
Like
exactly.
Here,
and you can see my amazing team and what I've put together and how awesome everybody is.
Can we get a photo of her on the Apple box? That Apple box is going to be the tallest
tallest
Apple
exactly.
box I've
Hey,
ever
that's
seen,
what happens.
Ever. Yes.
That's what happens. I have to feel, you got to be big to feel big sometimes, right? It's because I'm a supermodel, actually.
Yes,
there's no box.
Yes. Hey, thank you so much for listening. Send this to like 3 girlfriends. Like 3 girlfriends, one that you know is going to judge you for sending it, one that is going to be so grateful, and one's going to say, why did you send this to me? And then you can all have wonderful conversations about it. Thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for watching as always. I love you. Keep up the good work, and I'll see you on the next show. Take care.